we're live, I think.
Okay, well, it doesn't say live yet, so.
It does on my end, so that's
Does
probably,
it?
yes.
Perfect. Oh, there it is. Perfect. It popped up. All right, so we are live. This is BB Breakdown 902, two Nova Scotia girls that come together to discuss and break down Big Brother. We've been doing it weekly. We've taken it like a 2-week hiatus because I was vacationing in Nova Scotia for a wedding. And that's basically it. And I don't think we really missed much going on a hiatus for 2 weeks because the last 2 weeks seemed to take forever to get here. And here we are. We're post Big Brother, gonna break down the finale, and then we're gonna break down some of the gossip that's been happening on Twitter and Snapchat from what we can see as an outsider perspective. So if you're tuning in live with us, thank you. If you're tuning in after the fact, thank you as well. Just a little heads up, we won't be doing any breakdown of BBOT because we're Canadian and don't have access to CBS All Access because we're not American. And anyways, so long story short, we won't be covering that at all. I may potentially be following a little bit on Twitter, but we won't be breaking anything down until BB Can, where we have all access to the feeds and all access to the shows with no issues. So I guess that we'll get into it. Linz, you uploaded our links?
I did it all.
Awesome. Okay, so let's just get right to the finale. We're going to skip the couple weeks that we missed because really we all know what happened there. Finale, let's talk about these comps in finale. They really stepped up their game, I believe, in this finale, in terms of level of difficulty. The first one was pure endurance, where they go from running around following a cat light, which I loved because I love cats. And they were all dressed up in their little kitty outfits, and they were going from one area to the next area until the little cat light stops, and then they had to basically be held onto whatever wall the light stopped at and be suspended there until the light appears again. Paul ended up winning this endurance comp. Were you surprised that he won an endurance comp? Because I was.
I think they were all just exhausted, and I think when Nicole and James fell, what seemed really quickly, one after the other, I think they were just running and trying to be fast and strategic, and I don't think it was really an endurance comp because they were moving so much that it was it seems simple, but your mental exhaustion just took over, and I think they both, she slipped and then he slipped, and I think it was all an accident. So I don't know if it was really I think the endurance in a sense, I think, was only an hour or something, but when you're running around like that and you're not stagnant in one spot, I think it can be tough.
Do you think, though, James, he says that he fell by accident and that it wasn't purposeful, but do you think it was an accident because he fell so soon after Nicole? I was quite skeptical that it was an accident.
No, I don't think you play with fire at this state in the game, so I think it was an accident. At this point, this guy has a kid, you're not playing around at that time, so I don't think it's purposeful at all.
Okay. All right, so then I guess we'll just fast forward to the next part of the comp. So this one was, it was themed as an amusement park. So what they had to do is they had to answer 3 questions in regards to the season, put the 3 correct house guests in the roller coaster, and then push the roller coaster down, and then at the exact moment they believed that they would get their perfect snapshot, they had to press their button. This looked grueling because they had to run through all those concession lines and hope that their picture turned out properly. It looked like quite the race, not just did they mentally have to remember the 3 house guests, which all 3 of them did quite well with, but they had to make sure the picture was timed properly. Nicole won. Any surprises here that Nicole won?
No, at this point she knew, obviously we'll talk about this soon and what her strategy was going in, but she knew she had to win and she was determined. And I think, like I said, the first one was a flub, and this one she was moving. She knew she had to do it or she was going out. So she did great.
Yeah, she really did. And I was really happy she won, and I wasn't surprised she won because I know she was studying. But I was surprised how much she beat James by, because she beat him by 12 minutes. which
And
is
she was confident too. You could tell that she was confident in her. Like she was like, "Let's do this thing." Like she knew, like she did well, and that's what she's been like aiming to do in there. So good for her.
yeah, for
But
sure.
much like any reality TV show, like with like Amazing Race and Big Brother, like you have to study your facts. Like what day did this person go out, and what happened in this, and what were the things, and like it's all about that too. It's like really like your final exam in a way.
Mhm.
So it was good for her.
Yeah, for sure. And then the classic uh, number one winner against number two winner in the 3-part competition. They're on the scale, and that's the classic like final determinant of who's the final HOH. And we see Paul win it, and we see him win it quite like it was quite a tight race. Were you surprised that Paul won this and that he knew the house guests better than Nicole did?
A little, to be honest, a little. I didn't think he was studying as much as she was. So, um, him winning that surprised the heck out of me. His
Yeah.
whole game has surprised the heck out of me.
Um, okay, so let's go over that. Like, do you think the fast forwarding to jury, let's talk about jury now. So jury was pretty intense. Meech was crying the whole time, basically, and they were basically fighting back and forth, really what looked like who each person wanted, fighting for who each person wanted. And I wasn't surprised that Corey and Polly were fighting for Nicole, and Polly was kind of fighting for Paul as well. Were you surprised that Devon was fighting for Paul and then ended up giving Nicole her vote?
I think she was always a little bit like on the fence about Nicole because she was also a veteran and Nicole played a really good game, even though Davon, I think, was more jealous of her. So she was going for Paul, but because I don't think she thought like Nicole had a shot. But I think she had to give it where like good game is played. And I think that just shows the strength of a good player. So yeah, so I like, even when they were sitting in jury, I mean, obviously, like, I didn't know, but I think that I thought Davon would give it to Nicole if Nicole was in the bottom two, no matter who it was.
Yeah.
Because she
And
respects her game. How amazing was it how uncomfortable Dr. Will was when Michelle was crying up a storm?
I think he just wanted to like burst out laughing,
He
actually.
did. He did because she couldn't get her emotions under control. It was so stupid. And Corey is like looking at her. Obviously, like editing is a wonderful thing, but like Corey looking at her like, and like, she's just like, why are you looking at me like that? I'm gonna cry. I hated it. I do not like this girl at all. I would never be friends with somebody like that in life. She drove me nuts. Her attitude, her behavior, pass, pass, pass.
Does
It
that
had to all be about her.
does that behavior though, does that make her annoying or does that make her memorable? Because a lot of people will remember Meech over some of the other house guests probably because of how much she was like an emotional mess, really.
Maybe. I mean, you make a good point. I just feel like, do you want to be remembered for being whiny and annoying, or do you want to be remembered for like Dan or like Davon and all, like for things that are like powerful about yourself? Like this, she just is an annoying person, but also like so was Mike Boogie, and he got in 3 times. So
It's true.
well, maybe
Very,
we'll see her back. I don't know, but I think she needs to grow up a little bit. I think it's a sign of immaturity.
yeah. I think it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious that Dr. Will like basically like wanted to laugh the entire time and was just like biting his lip. I was
He really was.
ass off because it was so obvious. And I think Nicole was a little bit flustered by the fact that like not only Corey was like she was just looking at her, but she was
Oh no, Meech. You said Nicole.
Meech, sorry, not Nicole for anybody that's looking to autocorrect us tonight. No, Meech. So I think she was a little bit flustered by the fact that Dr. Will was like wanting to laugh as well. It wasn't so much
Right, like people
I
were
want to laugh.
laughing at her, and I think maybe like my instinct is when people like when I feel uncomfortable, I get really red, but I can control like my like tears. I think maybe she just doesn't know how to control her emotions well, and so she just gets really like flustered and then cries. But he was so close to laughing, and Yeah, but I gotta say, like, it with Natalie sitting beside her, like, and just touching her thigh and being like, "Come on now, like, get it together." Like, she's just like, and just such a positive person. Like, I really, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I really want her to win America's Choice.
Yeah, I guess we kind of graced over the fact that Paul took Nicole to final two, and that ended up being our final two. I was screaming at the TV, being like, "What are you doing?" Because his whole rationale for this was the fact that Nicole deserved to be there more than James did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, "What are you doing? Like, you're making a $500,000 mistake."
And he did.
He really did.
He
But
would have won.
he could have. I guess we'll get to his reaction and like all that in a little bit. But uh, I was so mad because he
So
could have won by a downslide, like downslide.
that's
But
what I'm saying. Like, he would have won this thing if he had taken James for sure. Now, granted, we saw the jury and we saw where it was kind of going. So, I mean, we kind of knew, and he doesn't. You have no kind of concept as to what's happening outside the house, and you think you're doing the right thing. But I have like you and a couple other friends that watch this show, and I wasn't able to watch it live, and they both text me saying, he took Nicole. This is the stupidest Big Brother move I've ever seen. And then I watched Netta's like Snapchat, and she was devastated. And like the internet was going crazy about what a dumb mistake that was. And I was like, well, I guess I haven't been like watching much of it because I kind of got really frustrated with it. But you take James. Nicole was making mastermind plans. And if she's that good, and this is probably why Davon voted for her, if she's that good to fool Paulie in the end, then she deserved the $500,000.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So good for her. But I was surprised he did it. I was really surprised. And he seems like a pretty smart guy, but I think he just didn't have the big picture and he thought he did.
Yeah, I think he thought going into it that because he was a newbie and because he played such a good game and he was just so strategic and he had great comp wins and he just played an all-around great game. I think he thought that because he was a new person coming in, that would warrant more respect than a returning player that had already had the experience of going through it and knowing how, like, kind of how to map out Big Brother. What I don't think he really grasped is how well of a game Nicole played. I don't think he thought that through. Like, he did play a phenomenal game, and I love Paul, and I've been a Paul fan from the beginning. However, I don't think he thought out, okay, let's think about Nicole and James' game and how well they played and what their rebuttal could be, in terms of like why they deserve the money more than I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he went wrong. He thought he was too much like, and mind you, totally deservingly should have won the money in my opinion, against Nicole, but that's not what the jury said. Mind you, I do think Nicole had strong game and strong reasons to win. I just think when she was paired against Paul, in terms of what I saw, I would have preferred a Paul win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because like for me, I think what happened was because it was a close call, like the right down to the end, 4-4, and then that was it. So that's a good Big Brother game. It's so much better when it's like that because when it's like the same person, Nicole, 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 Paul, 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 like it's just like who cares? But when it comes to that, that's when you have good Big Brother. But I think for me, what sold me on her was unbeknownst to me, even though like we're watching from home and we can see all like the behind the scenes play, she listed for the first time for everybody, I did this, then I did this, then I did this, then I did this. Like, and she said, oh, well, I'm not very good at speaking. Like, she kind of got flustered a little at the end because I think she had opened, like, in a sense, it's like writing an essay. She had written her introduction, she wrote her, like, subplot and her whole, like, thesis, and then at the conclusion she kind of like dwindled because she didn't even know what to say. Like, she had a plan as to what she was going to say to this jury, whereas I think he didn't really answer, like, especially Natalie's question where it was like, hey, sometimes you were chauvinistic and I felt like offended by you. What do you think about that? And he's like, I'm just being me. I'm a fun guy. Like, that's a shitty answer. Like, be a man and answer it correctly. But she had a plan and she was like, boom, 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 boom. And this was part of her plan. So I got to say, like, honestly, she deserved it. And she was on my team. So, of course, I was thrilled to see her win. Do you agree? Like,
Yeah.
do you think her speech was like really like it was a bit robotic, but she knew what because she kind of like she seemed like she was delivering something. It wasn't the first time she had like
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yeah, for sure. She really highlighted for everybody that didn't know all the behind the scenes stuff Nicole was doing. She owned what she did and she owned it with confidence, which is not, not traditionally something we see Nicole do a lot of because
Right.
she is a she is a quiet, confident person, not an outspoken, confident person. Like, bam, here's what I did. Bam, take it. Like, and that's how she delivered her speech. And I was like really impressed by just her outward confidence rather than her inner confidence that she normally portrays. And for those reasons, I do think, like, yes, deservingly, like, she proved her point to the jury, and it's up to some of the non-believers, maybe, as you would say. But if you look at who voted for Nicole, Paulie, Zakia, Corey for sure, and Paulie basically and Zakia are back on, so they probably planned on like voting the same way. Like, if it's these two people, who are we going to vote for? If it's these two people, I feel like that's what happened there. But
Yeah, no, he was gonna always go with his buddy Corey, and Zakia
yeah,
was
he's going to
gonna
always
follow
go
him.
with
So that's
Corey.
three automatic votes for her.
Right? So that's 3 guaranteed votes for Nicole, irregardless. And then Devon was the shocker. And then the fifth one, Natalie shocked me too. I really wasn't expecting Natalie to go in that direction. I think she was swayed.
I don't think she liked his answer.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think she was swayed a little bit by the comment that he made to Meech, and Meech reporting that back to Natalie, given how close. Well, actually, Natalie was still in the house at that point, but that whole debacle with Meech and Paul calling Meech whatever he called her because it was bleeped out. I'm sure it was like bitch or something like that.
Yep.
And anyhow, I'm sure that's where
I mean,
Natalie
but
went. But
do you think like when they go in there like that they're potentially swayed by by the like contestants in the two chairs, or do you think that they are like pretty have their mind made up about if it's this person, I'm probably going to give it to them. Like regardless of the fact of like, the three, if you're like, oh, well, if it's these two people, I'm going for this person. If it's these two people, I'm going for them. Like it's that kind of thing. Like you have like, if it came down to it, did you know? Because James went Paul and Michelle, sorry, not Michelle, Natalie went, what's her name? Nicole. So like they're a couple, but they didn't have time to chat. So she had like her preconceived notion about what she thought. And so good for her. But I think she went in being like, I felt disrespected by that comment. I think she was upset for Michelle. And I think that she didn't appreciate how he answered the question. So I think she was like, I don't care. I'd rather see a woman get it and see, it be somebody who I think deserves it more and can like that's what I think.
yeah, I think another huge part that factored into Natalie's vote was the fact that from the very beginning of this season of Big Brother, she was pro like girls, like she was
Yeah.
pro First Five girls, she was pro feminism, and she was super outspoken about it. And I think that swayed heavily on her decision making as well. And if you watch the backyard interviews, which I watched, and shout out to Rob Has a Podcast because that's who I watched it under on YouTube. And anyhow, she was saying in her rationale that she really wanted a woman to win, and she gave kudos to Nicole's game and the way she played, and she really respected her game.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicole duped her, so of course she got duped by Nicole. So you got to respect it. You can't hate it if you're
Well,
there.
I mean, say that to Michelle, but
Yeah, and I think a little bit had to do with Michelle, but I think for the most part, Natalie was swayed by the fact that she was a woman and she wanted a woman to win.
yep, totally, totally. But as somebody who was also a feminist, like I was like, I was just like, I didn't like his answer either, and I would have gone that way too. Even if I was like best buddies with him, and I knew my man was going to go with him, I'd still stick my ground, which I kind of liked about her. So
Yeah, for sure. And okay, so that we kind of covered all that. And so now we're just, we've covered jury, we've covered the final two choices. Now let's talk about if James had have been pulled in. Who do you think would have gotten, who voted for James to win? Natalie for sure, but anybody else do you think would have been potentially swayed to vote a James win?
no,
Me neither. I just wanted to just brace over that. I mean,
Yeah, no, I think like just because of jury and stuff like that, like I think he played under the radar. He was a great guy. He's like it's inviting the class clown to like the prom, you know? Like at the end of the day, like he's great. You really like him, but he's not going to take home the cake. Like it's going to be Paul. Paul played a stronger game, but James played a very a fun game, and you can't not have people like James in the game. But if yeah, no, James was never going to win. So that's why it was like crazy that he took him, but he had his reasons. And I think, you know what I think happened, like, especially like even like watching it back, like, I think that Paul, sorry, um, was surprised at the outcome. Like, I think he was very disappointed with how it went, and he put on a brave face, as you do. But it was shocking that he didn't win. He was shocked.
mhm. I was a little bit too. I thought that he had Devon's vote. I really did. I didn't think Devon's vote was going to go that way, but it is
Oh,
what
I
it
would have put no. I thought she was going Nicole because she said it like a couple episodes back where she was like, "I'm gonna give this thing to Nicole if this keeps up." You know, like she just
yeah.
knocked him out. Like she got all the men out. She really did. You
Yeah.
get Victor out after 3 times. You get oh man, no, she deserved it. This piece of my hair. Anyway,
So so we've covered finale, we've covered everything really to do with finale. Now let's get into the gossip that's been going on after. So anybody that wants to stay with us for this, let's get into it. So I've followed heavily the wrap party and the aftermath that's on Twitter. Everybody's response to the Nicole win versus the Paul win, and just what's going on Twitter. So I ran a poll on our Twitter page asking who we think, which showmance we thought was going to have the most potential post Big Brother 18. And the options were Nicole and Corey, Polly and Sakia, and James and Natalie. And then I threw in the fourth one, which happened at the wrap party, from what we can see anyway on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, Meech and Ian Terry. So that was the fourth showmance, even though it wasn't on the show. So this poll got sprung and we had 35 votes, and Meech and Ian have our fans think have the most potential of lasting.
okay.
Well, I don't know. From what we can see, it looks to be true. There's lots
I'm
of
like
photos.
looking it up now. I don't even know I freaking hated her. I thought she was terrible.
Well, there's lots of Meech and Ian stuff going on Twitter and Devon's Instagram. There's a little photo. So it was quite fun to watch that. And then I also watched the celebrity, some celebrity sort of similar to TMZ posted a video post wrap party of Zakia and Polly coming out of the party and having this like drunken lady like yell at Polly, and Polly was like Zakia was trying to keep him to keep his cool, but he was like couldn't help not
Oh my
saying,
god, so sorry, but like, what is this?
what? I can't see.
It's like Ian and Michelle. Ew.
Or yeah. Anyhow, catch up, Linz. It's quite entertaining. And yeah, so Polly, like, even though he says on this like TMZ, it's not TMZ, but it's like some celebrity buzz video or something, that like he's not drunk, he can't help but like not respond to this drunken lady that's chewing him out. Can you believe it? His ego, it's still like an overinflated post Big Brother. Don't understand it. And then he's holding this the other kind of stuff that's created waves on Twitter is the fact that he's holding this welcome home party on Saturday, and he's charging, the entrance fee is $10, and if you want to meet him, you have to pay $60 for meet and greet.
He probably has the smallest penis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know this is on YouTube, but come on.
So the reaction on Twitter has been Devon kind of responded that, you know, anybody that wants to meet and greet her, it won't cost anything. Paul has openly said that he will be giving away his merchandise that he designs at his meet and greets to anybody that wants it. And I think Victor said something too. I forget what his tweet was, but Victor and Paul have hands down been like the most interactive with their fans. They try to like respond to everyone, which is amazing. They've been overwhelmed by the love and support they've been receiving, and it's really endearing to see that, like, you know, that Paul thought he was not loved at all because he didn't get any care packages, and he comes out of Big Brother and he's like being like enamored with love. So that's awesome to see, and I was happy that I guess we didn't touch on the fact that Victor won America's Favorite. I was happy with that choice.
Yeah, I was too. I was too. I ended up I didn't like him in the beginning. I thought he was really pompous when he was first in there, and then I think like he grew on me. I mean, I loved his comment at the end, being like, "Don't you think I'm gonna come back in and sit beside you and try to take the?" Like I kind of liked it. Like he played into it. He was really great. So yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of stuff going on post Big Brother, but of course we're following it as avid. I'm following it a little more avidly because Lindsay's been busy with her work probably, but I've been
Or
looking.
she just doesn't like. I didn't like some of this cast, so I don't want to follow along.
Yeah, I've been on vacation, so I've been following all the ones I loved, and I'm following Polly just for the drama. I'm gonna admit it, but yeah, no, I've been loving the post house life more than I loved the last few weeks, I must say.
I enjoyed Jury House. They should have just recorded Jury House the whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty hot, eh?
It was
Yeah.
great. Also, I think that Zaki is the stupidest person in the world. The end. I'm very opinionated tonight, but I think, like, are you kidding? Like, come on.
Yeah. I don't think that's the wisest decision, but we'll see where it pans out. You never know. They might be the next super Big Brother couple.
They won't be. He'll
Don't
cheat
know,
her.
but
If he's charging that much money for, I love it. I love it. I think he's such an idiot. I do. I'm trying to look at these Snapchats.
yeah, I was anyway, I'm highly impressed by post Big Brother life. I kind of it's a wrap for me on BB18. I
The
look forward,
rap.
yeah, I look forward to talking to you all again when BB Camp 5 comes back. Super pumped for that. There's been lots of rumors floating around that they might do the international twist again, which is exciting.
I think that they're going to do the I think they're going to do an All Stars 5.
Oh, I hope. But they've been doing casting calls with casting.
Yeah, but they could do that thing where they do like they bring in like 10 people and then like 6 people go back from like or like 5 people go back from like 4 whatever, you get it. But yeah, I think it's about time they bring in somebody from the past.
Yeah, the veterans. Listen, for me, I like it when they bring veterans back, but for me, I prefer it to be an all-star season if they're going to do an all-star. I'd prefer
That's true because
all.
they always bring back people that like I wouldn't have picked James to come back in this time. I wouldn't have picked Nicole to go back in.
No,
But I don't think Netta would go back in. I don't think
she will. I just don't think she'll go back in if it's not an all-star season.
Who do you think would go back in if it was just like a handful of people?
If it was a handful of people, I think like, I don't know, maybe even Netta would, but what I'm just
I think Arlie would.
Oh yeah, for sure. Arlie would go in all day, every day that he's casted for. But I just what I want to see is like the BB Can drama because they're all friends now. Now, how are they going to form alliances? For the most part, most of them are all friends. Like the only people that aren't part of the circle, from what I can tell on Twitter and Facebook, or Twitter and Instagram and all that other stuff, Snapchat, is like Sabrina and Andrew Gordon. They're not really like the only people that like don't reconnect into the circle as much. And actually, I'm mistaken because they did see Andrew Gordon like a few months ago, a few of them.
I think it's like I think that there's like a core group who are like obsessed with it, and then I think there were other people like Anil, not Anil. Who's the guy that was like really good friends with Ika, and then they haven't kept in touch. Oh, he was like a construction worker, and he got married.
Oh, not a Neil.
I know. I want to say a Neil. Aruna?
No. Frig. Why can't I think of his name now either? You got me thrown off with the Neil.
Yeah, but like I don't think he'd go back in it. Like I think like he's moved on, but I don't think like a lot of them still go out and party and do their thing, and it's like I get it, but I also am like, okay, like like Suzanne, the mom of two, like you see her at occasional things, but I think she's just like, yeah, I'll go for a drink, but I think like her ship has sailed, like she would go back in. Um, but then like you have like, of course, Anil would go. Anil definitely would go back in. Aika would totally go back in. I don't know that Kenny would. I don't think he would. I don't think.
I think he might be persuaded to if it's all stars.
I don't think Sarah would. Sarah Miller, Mumsy would.
Yeah, she would in a heartbeat.
No, I don't think she would.
Why?
Because I think she has two teenage daughters. Like I think she's like it was at a time in her like it's tough to do that. I don't know. I think like some people grow out of it. Like it's fun to have all friends, but
yeah, but Sarah's like she's always the one hosting all the events in Vancouver for the most part.
Yeah, she's probably the only one that owns a home.
That's true.
Like she has two like and they're not young. Like I follow her on Snapchat and her kids are like 11 and 13 or something. Like she's a mom. Like you don't leave. I mean, maybe she would. Like when they're 10, it's like easier. When they're 13 and they're going through stuff, do you leave then? I don't even think like I think it would be like Ika. Oh God, what's his name? He won the show. The sexy John. John would totally go back. Yeah, John would totally be in it. I mean, there's light. Oh my God, Ramsey. Please bring Ramsey back. He did not get his way to play. He is the best person on Snapchat. I've said it on here before. Now we're rambling, but this is like my all-star list of people. Like, for Big Brother Canada, in my opinion, and I've said this before again, is way better than American Big Brother. I don't care what anybody says. I really believe that.
I agree, but we're Canadian, so we might feel.
I don't think we're biased. I think that they're just like terrible down there.
Oh, I don't think they're terrible. I
don't think they're terrible. I just think that like our cast seems to be like bonded. Like they're a close-knit group of people. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
And it's like you're joining a family.
But that's just the thing, right? Like I can't imagine like going in there and these people that are like have become really good friends now all of a sudden have to pick alliances, kick their friends out of the house. I don't know.
I don't think they would bring back like John and Netta in the same season. I think they might do Ramsey and John, and like yeah, they are friends. Oh my God, Cass. But anyway, my point.
So many to choose from. It's
so many. Insane. We can go on for hours. I love Big Brother Canada. This season was okay. Wasn't my favorite, but yay, Nicole.
In terms of international, though, I hope that rumor is not true. Like, because I think like it would be exciting, but really the only reason that international worked is because it was Nikki and Tim. Who are you going to get that's going to beat Nikki and Tim? I can't, nothing's coming to mind. And I've watched Australia and I've watched some of the BBUK. Like they are like basically.
Maybe they'll do like Big Brother Canada Celebrity and it'll be like one of the people from Bare Naked Ladies and and like some like C-list actor from like the show has 22 minutes.
I'm not sure that they would do that, but however, I would tune in and watch because it would be highly entertaining.
I'm just trying to think of like the Corner Gas crew.
Somebody from Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, Mr. D.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, we have
all right.
The thing is like whatever, they'll do their things. That casting girl, she knows what she's doing. So
she does. So I guess that's it for our BB breakdown for a few months anyway. Thanks to everyone that tuned in for BB 18 breakdowns. We'll be back for BB Can 5 and have fun with DOT. tweet us if there's anything crazy going on in the house. All right. Bye.
Bye.